Hey everyone, I am the great and powerful ChizFri, and recently I played Shadow of the Colossus. And I've got some opinions on it, but first I thought we'd have a little fun. So by fun, I mean, I made a tier list. So if we come... Well, actually, we're just going to, shift me over here. There we go. Excellent. And shwa! There it is, the tier list. It's beautiful, isn't it? So down here, I don't know if it's catching my cursor, but down here, we have the 16 Colossi. Now, these are their PS4 version renderings. I did not play the PS4 version. I played, if I can find the case, it's somewhere up here. I played this version, the Eco and Shadow of the Colossus collection on PS3, which is the PS2 version ported to PS3. So it's the PS2 version of it. And because it's the PS2 version of it, I've checked my battery, we're still good. Because it's the PS2 version of it, my opinions may differ from someone else's. Full disclosure, this is the PS2 version ported to the PS3 after one playthrough. Alright, knowing that, let's get to it. So I have my tier list here, and it is split into two categories: concept and execution. Concept means, did I like how they were designed, how they fought? Did I enjoy the Colossus itself? Execution is, did I enjoy the fight? And those are two very, 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 very different things. And I have differing opinions on most of them. So we're going to jump right on in, because this is going to be a long video, because I'm going to be explaining almost every reason. So here we go. So I'm going to work on concept first, and then I'll do execution. So concept. In concept, with number one, with Malice. I have it written right here in my notes. With Malice, he was a good starting one. He was good to teach you kind of the ropes, as well as to kind of give you an idea of what the hell a Colossus is. So, as far as concept, he's a very simple design. He's a humanoid. It's something recognizable, right? And it's giant. He's holding a weapon. He looks threatening. So I'm gonna put him in somewhere between B and C. I'll give him a C plus B minus in in concept, because he's a really simple design, but it is effective in that he's the first one you see, and he really does look like he could kick the shit out of you. Now, it's unfortunate because, at least in my playthrough, he kind of stopped fighting. After the first or second stab, once I figured out that the longer you hold it, the more damage it does, he just kind of stopped fighting, and that was really sad for me. But Malice, C plus B minus on concept. Quadratus, the second Colossus. Oh man, I felt so bad for having to kill this one. I was actually distraught, because he just sort of fell over. He did nobody wrong. He's a giant goat, and I love him for that. He's like a 2005 version of Wooloo, and I'm sorry that I had to kill him. He should have been protected the whole time. So I'm going to give him a B on concept, because it was a really easy fight, but again, he was the second Colossus. I'm not talking about execution, but he's really striking design, very recognizable, and the fact that you see him every time you cross that gorge, I mean, if you're looking for him, you can see his corpse from the land bridge, and that made me really sad. That made me the big sad. So Quadratus gets B for concept. Gaius, I'm going to give Gaius the same ranking, or actually a slightly lower ranking than Malice, just because he's another humanoid. The cool thing, though, is that he was actually really easily readable. And the way you were intended to beat him by getting him to smack himself or smack his sword arm into the hard plate to get it to break so you had something to climb on. That was really cool. I did enjoy that. So, yeah, I'm going to say he's slightly lower, even though he was also pretty cool. I'd say that these are actually equal, but just for the sake of having space, Gaius is another C. I did not give myself enough room on here, I think. So Phaedra, the giant horse. Giant horse, I'm going to put right up here next to Quadratus because it's a giant freaking bone horse in a graveyard. It was actually really spooky. It was almost like Curon's horse if Curon had a horse instead of a boat. Really spooky, and the way you were intended to fight him. I did a little bit of research to make sure I did it the right way, although I guess if you kill it, it is the right way. Really interesting how you have to actually use those catacombs to your advantage. Took me a little bit to figure that one out, though. And apparently speedrunners have cracked the code, and you can ride aggro and jump up on his leg or something. I would not have... I did not chance that. I didn't even know that was a possibility, honestly. All right, Avian. Oh my god, Avian. Okay. Oh boy, this boy. I fucking love Avian's design. This is like S rank right here. This is like A+ design. I love birds. Birds need to be in more things, especially as giant monsters. So Avian is going right there in the S rank category. His fight, the way it was designed, how you have to draw him out and all that, really cool ideas. Super awesome fight from a conceptual level. So I really like his design, and I liked the concept behind what they wanted you to do. Next, Barba. Barba, the bearded boy. I really liked Barba. The concept behind his battle, having to actually get everything to knock down and then climb from his beard, that was really fun. That was actually kind of neat. So Barba, solid A rank on the concept. Now on to Hydrous. Okay. I think this is where I'm going to start getting contentious. Hydrous, from a conceptual level, and especially from like a design standpoint, I would say that Hydrous belongs somewhere in like low B tier, probably over there with like C+, B- from a conceptual level, because it's a fish. You don't normally fight fish in games. So it's interesting, right? You know, he's an interesting fight. However, I have a few opinions on Hydrous, and I'm probably going to be crucified because of them, but that is okay. So I'm going to put him about on the same level. I have him in my notes as a B for concept, but I'm going to put him on the same level as Malice, and that would be a B-. Moving on to Kuru Mori. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say Kuru Mori was solid A rank. Favorite fight, having to draw him up, shoot him from on high, and then like get down low to knock him off. Really liked the idea there. The fact that you were in like either some sort of Colosseum or mausoleum or theater or whatever it was was really cool. I really enjoyed that, the idea behind that fight, and the fact that you had to run from fast moving projectiles without your horse, without aggro. That was really cool. I thought that was a really neat touch. So, from one side of the spectrum to the other, Bossaran. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and straight up say it. I did not enjoy Bossaran at all. I think I see what they were intending with Bossaran. Didn't really land. Okay, I guess that's the difference between concept and execution, but like the concept itself with Bossaran was flawed, in my opinion. So the idea is you're supposed to draw it out of the cave, riding aggro while dodging bullets, and then get him to kind of tip himself over with geysers that were placed out in the field, and you shoot at his feet, and you have to climb on him. Like most of these other Colossi are like a puzzle. Bossaran was a really easy puzzle. And I feel like that was from a flawed concept. So that's why Basaran gets the D in concept. I just noticed I didn't give anyone an F in concept. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Dirge. Okay. I am running out of space here. Dirge, design-wise, it is it's a flatworm, right? He's a flatworm that is, like a diggy boy. I'm not a big fan of the concept of that fight. You were intended to ride away from him and shoot him in the eyes while riding riding aggro. I didn't really enjoy it. I did not enjoy that very much. So the concept doesn't land with me. It's not even a really interesting idea. Especially since they take that same idea, riding aggro and shooting arrows at a moving target, they do that way better later on. So I'm going to give Dirge right down here, like the C minus D plus range on concept. Like, he was okay as a concept, but they definitely could have done him better. The joys of using a photography camera for video. Okay, so basically I'll have to edit it in and see like where exactly it stopped recording, but basically Dirge, decent. I wouldn't even say decent, kind of just a bland design and a bland fight concept. So I'm going to put him like C minus D plus range. The small boy, the good boy, Celosia, yes. I don't know what I was smoking. I'm gonna give Celosia like the same grade as, fucking Quadratus and Phaedra as a B in concept. It was really fun trying to figure out, okay, Dorman said he fears fire. How do I get fire? And getting him to charge into things, seeing him be this aggressive beast, and then turn into like just a little scared animal once you actually like have your torch and start approaching. So, hell, making the audible. I'm putting Celosia right here in the A. Right there next to Barba and Kuru Mori, because I really think that they did well, like tying in the hint and the lore for Celosia into his fight. So now we are going on to Pelageya. Pelageya, cool idea. It's like a walking island that you have to, those little, these pieces right here on his head aren't actually weak points. You use them to steer the monster. So, or to steer the Colossus. So that was an interesting little tidbit there. And I thought that was a really cool thing. So, I'm going to give Pelageya a B in concept, because it's literally a walking island. Phalanx, the long boy, the high one. So I was talking about how Dirge was like, you had to shoot arrows from aggro, and I said that they did it better later on. This is what I mean. They did it better with Phalanx. So I'm putting Phalanx right there in the A, because in theory that should have been a great fight, right? Because you're shooting at a moving target that flies. I love having enemies that fly that aren't cheap. So like, they did it right with flying enemies, with Avian, with Phalanx. Great fights right there. I'm actually even another audible. I'm gonna upgrade Phalanx from A to S rank, because Phalanx was a good concept from the beginning. I hope that was like, other than Valis, like one of the first ones they had thought of, because that was a great idea, having like a giant sky Leviathan that you had to shoot from the sky. That was cool. Cenobia. Cenobia, that's the one that has the platforming puzzles that you have to try and figure out what to get him to knock into. I'm going to put him up there in A rank as well. Cenobia, or for in concept, Cenobia was really funny, like trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to do? And the whole point of his fight is how do I get, like he has an armor plating, so the whole fight is how do I get that plate off? And then once it's off, when do I take my chance? So that was a really cool fight in concept. All right, next up, the big bad boy, Angus. Or Argus, rather. I'm actually going to demote Dirge down to D just to make room to put Argus in C. Again, he's just Valus and he's Valus and Gaius all over again. Just bigger, meaner, and with a larger stick. You know, the idea of him having both a major sigil or two major sigils and a minor sigil was kind of interesting because you stab the minor sigil to get him to drop his blade. But at the same time, I wasn't really enamored with the idea. I didn't think it was really all that great. And then Malice, right here, our tall boy, our biggest boy. I even made him the biggest one of them on purpose. Malice in concept. This dude is the last defense. You have to kill everyone else to get to him. He's a bad dude. He is mean as fuck. He will start attacking you the moment you step in. Perfect final boss material. This guy don't play around. So, in concept, ooh, I'm moving the wrong layer there. Okay, whoops. Okay. In concept, Malice, 10 out of 10. S rank. Bad dude right there. He's like straddling the line between A and S. Just know he is straight up S rank. He's just too big. He's too big to be contained. You know, he is a threatening a presence. He is a massive presence when you first enter his arena. And you have to, I mean, right before this, you see aggro take a nosedive into the river, spoilers. And it's just, it's a really great fight, in concept, huge challenge to even get to him. As with the rest of them, massive challenge to get to him, but, you know, huge presence. And for that, he gets the S rank in concept. Now, let me add in our copies of our Colossi. There we go. They're all at the bottom now. And what we're going to do now is talk about how they were in execution. So, Valus, as a first boss, as a first experience with your Colossus, he is about as a little bit better, I think, than how he was as in concept. Let me scooch some of these guys over. What am I doing? What was that? What was that? No, stop that. I literally just want Quadratus. There we go. All right. There we go. There we go. There we go. And there, no, let's have him peek over there just for funs. Just for funsies. Okay, there we go. So now, as a first boss, he's obviously among one of the easiest Colossi to take down. Valus is, he looks threatening, but when you compare him to literally everyone else, he's actually really tame. Although getting hit with that club hurts like a motherfucker. So he's like, all right, I'm about to teach you about what you're about to get into. He also is the one that teaches you, okay, you need to be paying attention to how the Colossus is made. And of course, you fight him on foot. So that is a big plus in my book, that you fight him on foot instead of in water or on aggro. So that's going to become a thing. Quadratus. So Quadratus, I have him as a C in execution because again, he's like your first experience with a quadrupedal by a Colossus. I really just put him in C because the moment you get on his head, he kind of stops fighting, or at least he did for me. I don't know if that was in his programming or if that was a glitch, but he like stopped struggling, and that made me the big sad, which makes him good in execute or in concept, but kind of boring in execution. You know, he went down like a sack of bricks the moment I started stabbing him, so that was kind of sad. Gaius, the first real Colossus, I gave him an A rank in execution. He did better in execution than he did in concept because he is the first truly aggressive Colossus. He will clean your clock if you are not careful. And again, that whole thing where you have to pay attention to what he's doing, and you have to try and get him to knock his own armor off, to climb up his sword arm and then climb up all the way. That's a really cool idea, and it worked wonderfully. I really enjoyed fighting Gaius. I actually enjoyed fighting Gaius more than I enjoyed fighting Malice. Moving on, Phaedra. So, I'm putting Phaedra in like the high C, low B rank because I had a problem figuring out what I was supposed to be doing. And how I was intended to actually get around. I did not realize, I did everything on foot and it made it way harder. I did not realize you were supposed to get on aggro and ride around to his back after tricking him into looking somewhere you weren't. So I'm going to put, because of the lack of clear signposting, I'm putting Phaedra here like in the B minus C plus range. Back to my notes. Avian, poor baby Avian. I'm going to give him the same rank as Phaedra because you had to swim, mostly. I was not a huge fan of how slowly Wander swam, and that ruined a lot of the really good Colossi fights for me. So, like, I was thrilled to try and jump onto Avian, but I was terrified of falling, and I got frustrated every time I fell because he would tip and you'd fall into the water, and then it'd take like 3 minutes to swim to the nearest platform to shoot him again, and then it'd take like 5 minutes to try and get a shot off on him. That's probably my fault because I was terrible. So unfortunately, Avian is getting that low B rank, high C rank, and my camera battery is about to die. So we're going just. So now that we've got a fresh battery, let's continue. Next up is Barba. Barba, solid A rank in execution. So fun to fight. Trying to get him to knock down all the walls. It was like very clear what you were supposed to do is get him to knock over the walls, hide, and then climb his beard. And the way that he like leans over and starts looking for you when he's available to jump on his beard. I think the only thing I really didn't enjoy was how much he moved, and this was like when I first started getting really frustrated with Wander and how floppy he was. But that didn't quite ruin my experience at that point. So, Barba, A rank, A plus on the execution, but not A plus in the ranking. He was a solid A. Hydrous, ruined for the exact same reason that Avian was. Hydrous is going right here in the C rank because you had to swim just about the whole time. And like I said, I was not a huge fan of how slowly Wander swam. Now, partially that's because I tried to chase Hydrous instead of just let him get to me. But like when he would go deep, you'd have to hold on. And at that time, I didn't know anything about the salamanders. And again, I'm talking about this from the perspective of the first time playing it. Just one playthrough, very little information given to you. So Hydrous was kind of ruined by the fact that it was in water. And there's really nothing we could have done about that. Kuru Mori. So you already know I like Kuru Mori in concept, I love him in execution. S rank, solid S rank. I think he's the only one I give S rank in execution because, oh my god, he is so cool to fight. You know, going up and down, for some reason that actually didn't bother me, and I did actually attempt to jump on him from Han high a couple of times, which is some of the most satisfying ways to fight Kuru Mori. I fucking loved the Kuru Mori fight. Hands down loved it. On the other hand, once again, Basaran, D rank in concept, D rank in execution. Did not like Basaran's fight because, again, it was easy. I knew exactly what I needed to do, and he was not that threatening after the first couple of volleys of that energy because I literally got him stuck on a geyser and he couldn't do anything. So, yeah, he's D in concept, D in execution. Not a fan of Basaran. Dirge, I'm just going to let you guys know right now, Dirge was the only one that I believe that got an F rank in execution. I hated Dirge. And it was mostly, unfortunately, because of the controls. Just like how Avian and Hydrous were ruined by how slowly Wander swam, Dirge was ruined by how by how poorly aggro controls in the PS2 version, because you're expected to ride aggro, and Dirge is chasing you from behind, and it's scary for sure. It is scary, but you're intended to turn around while controlling aggro with your arrow drawn and shoot him in the eye while he's moving, you're moving. The aiming is just absolute naff, and every time you go to aim after you've shot an arrow, Wander turns back to the front, and that's where his aiming starts. It starts here and then slowly goes back to the camera. I died, I don't know how many times, because of the bad controls and the fact, again, that Wander, every time you pull an arrow out, his aim starts forward instead of where the camera is. Very frustrating, and how slowly he went to aim. Very frustrating. Did not enjoy the Dirge fight in the slightest. And I may actually demote one of these just because of similar reasons. Celosia, poor Celosia. I'm going to give him like a B in execution because it really did make me feel bad for killing him. But at the same time, once he's fallen, the armor's off of him, and he goes down very similarly to Quadratus. The only difference is it's more of a challenge to get to Celosia's weak point, and there is a small puzzle that has to be solved to knock Celosia out of his arena. The only really cool part about Celosia's fight is the fact that you get to like jump from on high to get down to him, but he's stunned for quite a while. I just about got him out before he even recovered, and then like the next hit he was dead. So I hate to say it, he's actually probably like down here with Avian, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because he made me feel the big sad. And put him in the B for Big Sad. Pelageya, I'm also going to put him up here in B rank just because of the water. I think he was an interesting concept, but because of the water and the fact that you had to swim around him. In fact, I'm actually going to demote him because I have him as a B in my notes, but I am going to demote him down to C because of the water. He's on par with Hydrous. Really interesting fight, actually. I think because of that, yeah, no, he's deserving of more than Hydrous. I'm gonna give him like, I'd say he deserves the B. Like the only thing that ruined that was having to swim, but I figured out I could just swim right past him to get to his tail, so it was okay. You know, having to ride him to get onto an upper platform for him to stand up and show you your weak point. his weak point rather. That was really interesting. That was a good idea, and I had fun doing it. The only part I did not enjoy was having to swim, but I figured out the cheap way to get around him to mitigate that problem that I had. Phalanx. Oh boy. Okay. Time to be controversial. So Phalanx. S-rank design. S-rank idea. Ruined by aggro, in my opinion. Ruined by aggro and Wander's, how hard it is for Wander to steer aggro. Especially when you're supposed to, after you've shot it down. That's not the problem, right? His air sacs are large enough that if you're close enough, you're going to hit him. The problem came in jumping from aggro to the wings. I had no clear sense of where I was jumping. I had no idea, and I missed a ton. A ton I missed. And, of course, you roll. Takes Wander a second to stand up. Takes a second for all the dust to clear. And then it takes another couple of seconds for Wander to get on aggro and for aggro to get up to full speed. So, unfortunately, I have to give, in execution, I have to give Phalanx a D. Because he was an extremely frustrating fight despite being a cool concept. And he wasn't frustrating because of difficulty. He was frustrating because of the controls and especially because of aggro. So, get out your torches and pitchforks, I guess. Next up, Cenobia. Solid A in the execution. Now, I will say I have a predisposition to adventure platformers, and Cenobia's fight felt most like an adventure platformer. Plus, there was this one moment where I was trying to get to the point where I could mount him and stab at his weak point. So what I did was I went down the little channel, and he was pacing in front of the door that I took to get into it, and it looked so threatening. I'm like, oh god, he gonna kill me. The only reason why he's not S rank is because when he hits you, it stuns Wander and puts him, face down. And I timed it. It takes Wander 10 seconds to stand up from that. It's way too long. Way too long. So that's the only thing that's keeping Cenobia from being S rank, because otherwise I loved that fight. Great execution on the concept of, having to platform to get him knock stuff down for you to be able to knock his armor off. All right, Argus. Now, I said he was kind of a boring design. Argus loved the fight. All right, in execution, it was wonderful. The fight itself was very different from the other two humanoid ones. His fight was so interesting. Again, the only frustration I had was Wander being slow and taking forever to stand back up. But just don't get hit, right? Having to use his attack against himself so that you can get up on a higher level. So, and to just keep climbing. Great concept, great ideas. Loved the Argus fight. In execution, I got frustrated with it, but it wasn't so frustrating that in retrospect, I, didn't enjoy it. That was actually a very exhilarating fight. It just took me an hour and a half to do it. All right, and then Malice. Okay. Another controversial opinion. Malice, I'm gonna move Phalanx over here, a little bit closer to Bassaran. I'm gonna put Malice as a high D, low C in execution, because he is a massive beast. He is huge, the largest Colossus in the game, and it shows. You can't see all of Malice all at once. From the in-game camera. It just doesn't work that way. So, in concept, Malice being so aggressive, wanting your ass dead. Cool idea. However, the most frustrating part of that fight was the approach. Having to go from all the way across the land. God damn it. I'm getting really frustrated with that. I swear I'm going to buy myself a goddamn video camera. All right. Anyway, what I was saying. The approach was the most infuriating part, almost entirely because of how quickly Malice attacks and how slowly Wander recovers. So if you're out in the open, it takes Malice no time to shoot again. But it takes, again, Wander takes 10 seconds to stand back up. So a lot of your time, if you take the wrong path, especially right there at the beginning, it's going to be a minute before you gain control of Wander again. And that sucked. I did not enjoy that in the slightest. And then once you're actually on him, it took me a second to realize how to actually get to his major sigil. Once I figured that out, it was great having to stab him in the back and then climb up his arm, stab him again, all fun stuff. And then shoot his shoulder to get him to do this so that you can climb from here to here. Really cool in concept. And it was pretty fun in execution because I'm like, finally, I made it to you. I'm here now. I'm going to fuck you up. Of course, that was after like 4 tries, having to climb from the bottom all the way back to the top. But at least I didn't have to go all the way across that landmass again. But those energy blasts that he sends out, they hurt a lot. They stun you, and they push you back a ton. They take away so much of your progress. And there was one portion where you have to roll from one cover to another, but it's not close enough for the roll to make it. So you have to run, and either run and hope you make it, or run and then roll. But Wander is so slow. It takes him so long to roll. It takes him forever to recover from the roll. I think it's like a full second to recover from the roll. He's just so slow. And I think that's what ruins, a lot of these Colossi in execution. These are giant monsters. I love Monster Hunter. Every one of these should have been S rank in my opinion, or at least, higher than B. But because of how Wander controlled, how weak his grip strength is, how long it takes him to recover. In the case of, the ones that are over water, the ones that are in water, the ones that require aggro, those should have been good fights, but they were hindered by those controls. Again, I have to stress, I was playing the PS2 version, not the PS4 version. But at the same time, like, that, I get it. They wanted to make a piece of art. They wanted to make something that said something. They wanted to make you feel the big sad for killing most of these things. However, it's a game. They should have made it fun, too. And in a lot of cases, it wasn't. Anytime you had to ride or aggro, anytime you had to do these weird things like shoot arrows facing backwards from aggro, even though the camera and the aiming says, no, you start here and then work your way over. Things like that should have been fixed already. Those should not have been an issue. And they were. And that ruined a lot of these, especially like Malice. If Wander recovered even just 3 seconds faster, Malice would not have been as low on the tier as he is. If he swam just a little bit faster, Avian would be S tier instead of in the middle of the road. There was another one. No, Dirge was doomed from the start. I didn't like him at all. Dirge was doomed from the start. Phalanx would not have been, in the D's. He would have been up here and probably S tier again if I didn't have to fight with the controls and fight with aggro. So, I'm going to leave the Photoshop document down on the down there in that general area, either in the pinned comment or in the description. I'm also going to have this up on Twitter. This will be up on Twitter. You can follow me right there at rkistling Jones. And I'm also putting this up on my DeviantArt for you. That's where the download link is going to go to. It's going to go YouTube DeviantArt, and then you can download the PSD from there. And share me your list, because I'm sure yours is going to look very different from mine. So, have fun with it. And, let me know if I'm wrong. Just remember, again, these are my opinions playing one playthrough on the PS2 version ported to PS3. So there's my 18th disclaimer there. Yeah, if go ahead and tell me how I'm wrong down in the comments, and look out for something big coming out in the next few weeks. So, and as always, stay cheesy. Got him. We shall praise the Mother of Earth. We shall praise the Mother of Death. The game is over. We have succeeded in our goal. 16 stood before me. 16 death. A girl